Michigan also has a Democratic primary, which is getting some unexpected attention in this year's race for the White House. Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib is urging Democrats to vote against President Biden in the contest, which is a week away. Representative Tlaib is a Palestinian American who has previously expressed her dissatisfaction with the Biden administration's role in the Israel-Hamas war. In a post on the X account Listen to Michigan, she explained her stance.
This is the way you can raise our voices. Don't make us even more invisible. Right now, we feel completely neglected and just unseen by our government. If you want us to be louder, then come here and vote uncommitted.
For more on this, let's bring in NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen. John, good to have you with us. So what more can you tell us about Congresswoman Tlaib's comments? How did we get to this point?
Yeah, I mean, this is a clear play to try to get votes against Biden in the primary, not to prevent Joe Biden from winning the party's nomination, but essentially to act as a cudgel against him and his policy by showing him the force that could be brought to bear in a general election if Arab Americans in particular, and certainly those who support the Palestinian side in this conflict with Israel, if they decide not to vote for him in the general election. There are, between 250,000 and 300,000 Arab Americans in Michigan, and Joe Biden won Michigan by 150,000 votes last time. The math isn't quite that simple, as there are twice as many votes to leave on the table potentially, but there is some crossover in that universe, and I think what Congresswoman Tlaib is trying to do is essentially threaten Joe Biden if he doesn't change his policy.
What is some of the response we're hearing to Tlaib's criticism, including from the Michigan Democratic chair?
Yeah, the response is that this is not the way. The way to get the president to change his policy. It's not the way. If you heard that video just a moment ago, Congresswoman Tlaib said that her point of view is not being seen, that her community is not being seen. I don't think the issue is that President Biden doesn't hear what Arab Americans who are on the side of the Palestinians in this are saying. It's not that he doesn't hear it. He hears it all the time. He hears it at his events. There are protesters. He hears it, from his staff. He hears it from members of Congress like Congresswoman Tlaib. The issue is that he doesn't agree with them. And that the U.S. government, it's not that they don't see Congresswoman Tlaib, it's that the U.S. government policy is different from that. So what you're hearing from Democrats, including the chair of the Michigan Democratic Party, is that this really isn't the way to try to change the policy, and that it doesn't make sense to weaken the party's eventual nominee heading into the general election.
Yeah, I mean, and sort of the big picture here is this may not be an issue when it comes to the primary for President Biden, but it could be a big problem when it comes to winning Michigan, a swing state in November. Trump won that state in 2016, then candidate Biden won. You said 150,000 votes. It's about 3 percentage points. Biden does now have the major endorsement of the United Auto Workers Union there, but just overall, how critical, how tight is this battleground state going to be in November?
Look, there are ways for Joe Biden to win the presidency without winning Michigan, but it's certainly a lot harder if he loses Michigan, just in terms of electoral vote count. I think, the ways in which Michigan voters' tendencies tend to reflect also what's going on in Wisconsin and in Pennsylvania. I mean, those states sort of tend to move in the same direction. So I think it's a critical state for Joe Biden. I think one of the big questions here, though, is for him, what would happen if his position changed? If suddenly he said, look, the United States doesn't stand with Israel and instead is standing fully with the Palestinian side in this, what we don't see is what the reaction to that would be. And I suspect that there would be a very strong reaction to that that would cause him as much, if not more, political problem in Michigan, as well as several other states that will be pivotal in the general election.
All right, John, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.